first line of defense for produce safety on your farm is well-informed personnel. It starts with teaching everyone the basics of health and hygiene, such as when and how to wash your hands effectively, what to do if you feel ill or if you injure yourself. Workers are also your eyes and ears throughout the operation. Do they know how to identify and prevent produce contamination? And do they know what to do if they think they see a problem? Anyone who has access to crops and produce handling and storage areas on your farm should be made aware of the importance of food safety, and everyone needs to know that you take food safety seriously.
When you're training workers to harvest the crops, what are the different things that you ask them to be paying attention to when they're harvesting?
The policy starts when they're hired. So prior to them going into the pack house or into the field, we have a system in place where they go through training. So that training takes place usually the first day of employment. We run through the food handling practices and the safety through flip charts through Penn State that we utilize, and a little bit of a program that I've written for the staff.
So here we have a hand washing station that came along with the portable toilets. It's stocked with soap, single-use towels, a trash can with a lid, which is important. The wastewater is being collected inside the unit, and it has a foot pump, so that helps to prevent people handling things that might be contaminated.
They replaced the water. They also add a touch of bleach just to make sure that while it's sitting here stagnant for the week's time, that if there would be any kind of bacteria growing, sitting outside in the temperature extremes, if there would be any potential, that would eliminate it.
And you said that the tank gets flushed out periodically.
That's correct.
As well.
So this is a poster that I use for my annual training in the beginning of the CSA, and we also keep it posted in the building here so that it's a constant reminder, you know, to make sure that you take care of food safety issues. So in the beginning of the day when you start, you have to come in and wash your hands, make sure you dispose of the towels and stuff in the trash can, and then if you would happen to get a cut, we have a first aid kit in the bathroom. You have to clean out, clean the cuts and bandage it, put a glove on. When we use the picking baskets and stuff, the picking baskets can't touch the ground. They have to go into a separate basket. And then if any produce falls on the ground, we can't pick it back up. It gets put in the compost. If you have any water bottles or anything like that you take with you, make sure it stays at the end of the row or in the truck. So if either of you are feeling ill, you need to let me know. If you're not sick enough that you need to go home, you can do a job that's not related to the food, to produce. And if you get sick while you're harvesting, you need to let me know. And then if there's any equipment that, that's been affected by that, we're gonna clean it and sanitize it before we bring it back out into the field.
We don't have a glove policy. We do make gloves available. Many of them do wear them. But it's not a requirement. So they are also taught that just because they have gloves on their hands doesn't mean that they can wear their gloves all day long. So it's the same thing. If there's any kind of sneezing or touching of any of the eyes or the nose, the gloves come off. If we have any kind of contamination in the field, we've pretty much gone through the practices of how that needs to happen. So the removal, the disposal, the gloves are part of the disposal process. Washing our hands then thoroughly before we put on new gloves is all part of what we teach.
It sounds like a glove use policy to me.
Yeah, well, some of them wear them and some of them don't.
Right.
So if they're not wearing gloves, then it's the hand washing policy that goes into effect. If they do choose to wear gloves, it's kind of the same as the hand washing policy.
So how do they sanitize the gloves? Do they do it while they're on their hands?
Yeah, we have the hand sanitizer hoses, the sanitizer hoses, I should say. So they just spray off their aprons and they spray off their gloves. And if they're wearing boots, they spray off their boots and they take them into the.
Spray off their apron.
Yep. spray off their apron
And the gloves.
and their gloves. These they dispose of, this they dispose of, and off they go.
And then where these, and you say these are stored in the office?
Yes,
once they're
they get
clean,
stored in the office when they're cleaned off to dry.
Right, and then the aprons are hung up over here so they're out of the way
That's
when they're
correct.
not in use.
Correct.
We got a blue knit glove that you can wear, and then they'll put a latex glove over top of the blue knit glove. All right, and then you have your blue knit glove on?
I have black knit gloves.
Okay, she has black knit gloves. It's still a knit glove. All right, this one right here, he has a thicker, like a neoprene type deal glove. It's more padded and insulated. Whenever they're done doing whatever they're doing in here, they'll throw the latex glove away. The blue glove, since it's underneath the protection of the latex glove, can be just like hung up with their stuff to be used the next day or later on in the day if they need them. If they get too bad, they will get washed, but they're not like on any kind of set cycle to be washed. I mean, they're just, to keep their hands warm, and they're being protected by the latex glove. So after they get done going to the bathroom, they need to get a new pair of gloves. They need to wash their hands. If we're going from one product to another product, they need a new glove. They can't use the same glove over and over again. Whenever they go to break or lunch, when they come back, they need to wash their hands, get a new pair of gloves. They're disposable gloves or one-time use. They're not an all-day use.
Our harvest starts at the pack house. So in the morning the crew gets here, they get all of their equipment together for the day that they're going to use for that specific task. The truck we've set up so that it actually is efficient in the harvesting. We have the knives on the truck on a magnetic bar. We have slips where we can put our shovels and our hose and our rakes and whatever we're using for that day. So we load up the truck with the sanitized harvest bins, and everybody knows, kind of what piece they play in getting that truck ready to get out into the field. Then they're handed their production sheets for the day, and we kind of go in a specific rotation so that they're making sense in how they're harvesting. We use green harvest totes, and the green harvest totes, we do allow them to put them onto the ground. They're stackable totes, and most of the produce is then taken to the pack house, cleaned and sanitized if necessary. So there's not much of a concern for setting it on the ground. Even if there is a little bit of contamination by stacking, it's taken care of in the pack house through production and through the wash. Some of the things that we look for are both physical contaminants, anything that was left from potentially a tractor or any kind of animal contaminants, or even rotten produce. So our policy is, if there's anything that they see, they just need to put it into a bin, not used for produce, into the truck. Same thing, any kind of animal contaminants cleaned and taken care of. And then rotten produce, so to take it, discard it off the plant, and basically we put it into compost bins and take it down to the compost pile.
Lindsay, since this is an incubator farm, does that mean you have a lot of volunteers and visitors that come?
We don't have a lot of volunteers and visitors. As far as volunteers are concerned, we do have a work share program, so we don't have people just coming out once. Yes, they have to apply. Just a few people are chosen, and they work pretty closely with our farm manager and receive training.
So they receive food safety training before they start work?
They do. Okay. They do. And then as far as visitors are concerned, this is county-owned land, so it's open to the public. However, the public is told to stick to the paths. When they come here, they're typically going down to the ponds, so they're not really getting up close and personal with the food.